Welcome to Sabella Spirit. Today we are reading for the sign of Scorpio. We will be taking a few oracle cards and then using the tarot to bring forth any messages. I just want to let you know that before I open this card reading, I always pray for clear, concise messages for your highest good and the highest good of all involved. Releasing all human attachment and expectations and retrieving messages from the divine source, releasing also all lower thoughts so we can have messages of divine love and light. The sign of Scorpio, what do they need to know this week? That almost tried to come. And this is the energy oracle. Not very talkative today. I nearly bent that card in half. Okay, here we go. All right, Scorpio. The Temple Path and Goddess of the Moon. From the Temple Path, what stood out to me most is the three sort of orbs on the card. Perhaps the divine is leading you down a path to retrieve some soul memories and to find the temple within. And let's see here, Goddess of the Moon. Yeah, I'm feeling like it looks like there's a waterfall in the background here of this card, and I feel like you're being led to tap into your intuition more, to trust the inner urgings, to go with the ebbs and flows. I'm hearing something about emotions, and in the world that we live in, it's hard to know how to process emotions in a healthy way, and the world is definitely changing. And mental health and emotional IQ has, emotional intelligence has been more of a focus for sure, which is wonderful. But one thing that we need to know about emotions is they're much like the tides. They're going to ebb and flow. And just as the water pushes forth and then recedes, we can't stop that. We have to let that happen. So if you have an emotion come up, the best thing you can do for yourself is to release that emotion, to perhaps journal or seek out support from a counselor or therapist. If you don't know where to go, talk to your family doctor, or you can Google like sliding scale mental health support. In Alberta, we're pretty lucky. We have Access Mental Health, and they can get you in pretty quickly. But there are also a lot of free resources here on YouTube to look into, to sort of, I mean, if you're noticing feelings and emotions, there's a lot of really wonderful people on YouTube who talk about processing emotions and things like that. So I'm kind of feeling that ebb and flow, and to be okay with releasing those emotions, because if we trap them in the body, it can show up in a lot of different ways in our lives. Okay, we have Fortune's Wheel. What does Scorpio need to know right now? Clear, concise messages. What does Scorpio need to know right now? Holy crap. Okay. I am feeling sort of like, yeah, how the cards just blew out like that. I feel like maybe there is something you need to release. Maybe there's something that you need to talk about. Okay. So we have the Judgment card, the Wheel of Fortune. We have the Seven of Cups. We have the Three of Water and the Ace of Water. So often the Seven of Cups can be, difficulty making some choices. I want to take a look at this card here. I feel like she's looking right up at the shell, and I feel that it's sort of like a Well, I mean, much like the goddess of the moon card, she's looking up at the moon and this person's looking up at the shell. But it's almost as if this feeling of looking up and opening yourself to divine guidance. If you do have a choice ahead of you, to tap into the inner self, to understand on the temple path. When you walk on this path of self-discovery and self-awareness, you're always led back to yourself. So oftentimes when there is discomfort in our lives, sometimes we anxiously will look outside of ourselves to fill this void that we're feeling. And when you make a conscious effort to allow the feelings to come and go and to release them in a healthy way. So rather than, you feel maybe a lower emotion or something fearful, fear-based emotion, rather than maybe resorting to one of your old coping mechanisms, whether it's smoking, drinking, it doesn't have to be that. It could be, eating junk food. It could be something like letting yourself spiral in negative self-talk. There's a lot of things we can do that aren't the best for us, and it's really because we're not having that time to have an awareness of how to process unhealthy emotions. We all have emotions that feel uncomfortable, but the difference is how we approach those emotions and what we say to ourselves about those emotions. So I don't know why I'm going off on a tangent about emotions, but we do have 3 water cards here, and I'm feeling very much like how the cards popped out like that. Maybe you're going through a hard emotional time right now. So I would like to encourage you to be okay with that, because we all go through these ebbs and flows of emotions. And it's okay to ask for help. Maybe in the past you're not used to asking for help with your emotions, but everybody needs help with their feelings sometimes. The 3 of Cups is typically a reason to celebrate. The Ace of Water, that's something new, possibly, new love, a relationship. It could be a friendship. 3 of Cups is, to me, it's kind of the friendship card. And what stood out to me now is the pearl on this card and the 3 pearls on this card. Pearls start from something really basic, right? It's like the little grain of sand. And it takes time to become a pearl. It doesn't happen overnight, and we're going to have setbacks on that temple path. There are setbacks. Oh, okay. The 3 pearls and the 3 orbs that we see there. Maybe you've been seeing 3s, and that's sort of your spirit team saying, hello, we're here, we're supporting you. 3s are a number of growth, collaboration, creativity. Oh, and we have another 3 here. So the Ace of... Why do I keep trying to say Ace? 3 of Action. Things are working out beautifully. Now that your ship has come in, it's time to decide what your next big project will be. You may choose to continue to build upon your success or move on to something entirely different. Be willing to travel if necessary. Okay, so this would be the 3 of Wands. And we see on this card, he has a toy ship, and there's water behind him. So if you are in your feelings, just know we need to process and feel those feelings. There's something about needing to let your emotions out. Can I get some clarity on the Judgment card? In this deck, it's called the Call. So there's a wake-up call. They're trying to lead you down the path of self-exploration. It's the best thing we can do for ourselves is to get to know yourself. I mean, you're the only constant in your life. Okay, so we have the Emperor, the Healer of Abundance, Helper of Emotion. We have the Devil card and the 7 of Action. Okay, so you're going through a bit of a tough time. There might be someone in your life that you have your walls up against, and maybe this is the person that you need to do some healing with, or you need to really release emotions about, and maybe you need to go to counseling together. With the Death card in this deck, it says, sometimes you may feel as though your way is blocked, but often that's just an illusion. You could free yourself from the obstacles that you're so focused on by choosing a different path. Turn your thoughts away from negativity and instead envision endless other possibilities you might act upon. Okay. So for me, the Death card is connecting to this Seven of Cups. It's like you have options. You have like this inner urging to explore something outside of yourself while also turning inwards and accepting how you're feeling. We live in a physical world, so we're going to have to take action in the physical world while also exploring our internal world. Not many people get to, just stay home and do healing work when they need to. You still have to participate in the 3D. But what they're saying is sometimes we create obstacles where there are none. So one thing that's coming to my mind is when people say, I don't have time for that. And yet, if you took an inventory of what you do in a day, you have time for scrolling social media maybe, or you have time for watching TV, or you have time for whatever it is, right? Where we don't even realize maybe consciously that we're doing these things. But if we took one day a week where instead of scrolling or watching TV, we did something like journaling to get to know ourselves, that small act could make some big ripples of change. And so I feel like that's kind of what you're being guided to do, is with the Emperor energy, is sort of find that within yourself, become more strategic, become more organized. And something that I typically do, because I struggle with organization and ADHD, and the way that affects my life is I tend to be quite forgetful, but also I have a lot going on in my brain. And so I describe it as, like, for instance, I'm in school right now. And so while I'm trying to read, there's the other part of my brain that's talking. And so it's like I'm trying to read, something from a textbook, but the other part of my brain is like, hey, remember that project you wanted to do? And remember this, thing you wanted to post on YouTube? And so it's really frustrating to have kind of two voices and two dialogues going on. And so how I overcome that is I'll usually talk to that part of my brain and say, yes, I hear you. I'll write that down. Because, I heard once someone call ADHD ideas always. And so that's more of like an empowered view of ADHD, is like, I have ideas always. And that's so cool, because I didn't realize that other brains don't work like that. Like, it wasn't until my mid-30s that I realized I have ADHD. And because it's the inattentive form, I wasn't really aware. I just kind of thought I was like a daydreamer, and that my brain just, couldn't focus. And I didn't realize those were ADHD symptoms until one of my kids was diagnosed. And so it was this huge realization. And so sometimes, I don't know why I'm going off on this tangent, but I've had to work really, really hard to put some practices in place, because I'm highly sensitive to medication. So medication doesn't work for me. It'll work for a couple days, and then I'm back to the usual. So it's like we've gone up a dose, and then, same thing, couple days. And then what started happening was the symptoms were the side effects started getting really bad. So I was like, you know what, I did a ton of research when my son was first diagnosed about 10 years ago, and realized that the best thing for someone who has mental health challenges or neurodivergence of some sort is behavioral therapy. Well, not everybody has access to behavioral therapy, because the way our world works is the great things typically aren't covered by our healthcare system. And so definitely a lot of awesome things are covered, but when you need extensive therapy, that's not usually something that's covered. And so what you have to do is take an empowered approach and decide for yourself, what is behavioral therapy? Where can I learn more? What are some practices that I can have, and start implementing those into your life. And so I guess what I'm saying is for you to feel more empowered, because I feel right now it's like your emotions, you're in one of those states where the tide is rising. And, that happened to me recently, where sometimes my emotions can just take over everything, and I need to really just go into myself and write and kind of take inventory, like, okay, well, what am I feeling? What triggered it? That sort of a thing. We're complex beings, right? And so even in my late 30s now, I have to be really mindful and do these things consciously to take care of my mental health, because ADHD has been a huge sort of depletion of my self-esteem, and I didn't realize that until my 30s. So I'm kind of building back up, and I want you to know it's never too late. Like, it's just never too late. And when we come into, suddenly I was looking at this, it says romance blooms, and you find yourself falling in love. Gifts of flowers, love letters, and poems read aloud are all in your future. Marriage proposals, weddings, and past life connections are possible. Someone new who is romantic, dreamy, and emotional may enter your life. This person could be an artist who's an idealist about love. As I'm reading that, I can feel like this emotion welling up in me. So I don't know if you have recently fallen in love, or you have someone bringing love into your life. Maybe you've just had a baby with the Ace of Water, something like that. But I'm urging you, if you're looking for love, or, you know, you're having these feelings welling up, I'm urging you to turn that love into yourself. Learn about yourself, become self-aware, because life is so short, and we have the ability to decide to go down the temple path and find this love from our divine source. There is no purer love than the love you'll feel from that of the divine source. And so I feel like this reading is about finding that for yourself, and about sort of getting to know yourself a little bit better. Like, there is the Seven of Wands, which, I mean, that can be a little bit of like a reminder to protect yourself, but I feel that it's bigger than that. It's beyond that. It's almost like you know how to protect yourself. In fact, I think you've been protecting yourself a little too much from the wrong things. I feel that maybe this is a heart chakra moment for you, where your spirit team wants you to look within and to be less afraid of allowing love into your life. And it's like that saying, you know, we hear it so many times, where you cannot truly love someone else until you learn to love yourselves. And what does that mean? It just means becoming self-aware, getting to know, what do I need? What do I deserve? How can I become so in love with myself that when a love offer does come up, I'm not going to react from a place of an insecure attachment type. And that's something I've been, you know, learning about lately. It's kind of like trending right now, is attachment type. And even in school, I'm learning about it. And so it feels like I have to mention it to you as well, to look up attachment type. And then kind of with love and honesty, kind of see where you fit on that scale. And then you can Google, or you can YouTube, how to heal my anxious attachment style. Because that's something I've kind of noticed, as sometimes I can get a little anxious when my husband pulls away and needs space. And so rather than projecting onto him, like, you know, like, I need you, I need to look within and say, okay, well, what am I feeling? What am I really feeling? Why do I feel I need him? Do I need to go and spend time with friends? What do I need for myself, versus trying to pour all my love into somebody? That's not, I mean, it's good. It feels good. And it's something that you can do. But from a secure standpoint, you're not going to lose yourself in somebody if you have a secure attachment style. So, anyways, Healer of Abundance is out. Never doubt that you can make a difference. Your creativity and ability to be innovative make you destined to succeed. It might be time to expand your career, but don't forget to leave time for family. This situation involves a person, possibly you, who's down to earth with a gift for design or decorating. He or she is open-minded and nurturing. Yeah, in a way, I just feel like you're coming onto this path of self-discovery and pouring love into yourself, and finding, you know, with the threes, definitely finding like people who build you up and support that self-love. It's a very different vibe than, like, you know, the difference between someone who's really rooting for you and then people who are not rooting for you. And every time you have a success, they find backhanded compliments and stuff like that, right? It's not very genuine. And that's because they have to heal something within themselves. So, wow, on the bottom of the deck, we have number 2, the High Priestess, go within. So you are a very intuitive person, and there are many wonderful insights that lie waiting inside you. Take time to be quiet and reflect upon the desires of your heart through meditation or prayer. There's no need to take action right now. Be patient with yourself. Yeah, I would 100% agree with that card. I feel like that's the message I was trying to get out the whole time, is this is a time of going within, taking one day a week. It doesn't have to be, you know, every single day and beating yourself up about, oh, I don't make time for this and I don't do that and blah, blah, blah. No, change the way you speak to yourself. Get to know yourself. Recognize, like I said, with my personal experience of learning about ADHD and realizing, you know, I had anxiety as a kid and all of these things. We're all human. We're all going to be different. We're going to have different experiences. So rather than falling victim to these experiences within our own brains that we can't change, take action. Be empowered. Like, this is your life. You have a choice what you make of it. So we have consciousness and cosmic flower. The frequency of consciousness supports our ability to focus our attention on all the multi-dimensional aspects that show up so that we can include them in our reality. And then, so that's number 17. Number 18 is next, the cosmic flower. The frequency of cosmic flower activates our remembrance of the place we call home. the core from which we pour our magnificence out into the world. Yeah, and on the bottom of the deck, the crown chakra. So how it's talking about the core from which we pour our magnificence out into the world. Remembrance of the place we call home. The energy with this card is kind of the energy I was getting with the Seven of Water and you know, the wake up call card, where it's time to wake up to your divinity. That is so, I mean, we're born these innocent little souls, and then life sort of comes and replaces that purity with other belief systems. And I feel like when we choose the temple path, we're choosing to reparent ourselves and reprogram ourselves. And I just want you to know that with conscious effort of connecting through the crown chakra to your divine source, we all have that ability, and you have the ability to do that. If you want to check out some other videos on my channel, I talk about the lower chakras. The reason I've only made videos on the lower chakras is because that's the masculine energy, and I feel that as we're transitioning, I don't want to get too whatever, but as we transition into like an Aquarian female energy from the Piscean energy, we have to heal the masculine aspects of self to come into the heart space to then expand into the feminine aspects of self. So coming and bringing the masculine and feminine into the heart space, it's going to take some introspection. It's going to take some looking at our childhood to decide which belief systems serve me and which no longer serve me, and how can I overcome those, and what do I need to do to take action to improve my life. And when I talk about the ADHD thing, the funny thing is that like a lot of ADHD symptoms or autism or whatever neurodivergence, those are genuine diagnoses. However, when we have trauma from childhood, sometimes that can show up with very similar symptoms to ADHD and autism, hypersensitivity, reactivity, all of those things, right? So I'm not saying, I think for my personal experience, I'm just realizing that, you know, is this trauma? Is this ADHD? What can I process? What do I need to look at? I mean, if I process the emotions, will I still have ADHD is kind of what I'm wondering. Regardless, it doesn't matter. We're all different. Your brain is beautiful. You are beautiful inside and out. The point is that you are deserving of a beautiful life. And the only person who can do that for you is you. What happened to you as a child was not your choice. It happened. But I want you to know that you can empower yourself to overcome. And so with those videos that I made about the lower chakras, that's what I'm trying to do, is support your journey as a human being, as an adult, to reparent yourself as needed. Maybe you don't need to reparent yourself. Maybe you had wonderful parents, and that is so great. But then to still be in the heart space as a divine being and finding your connection to God or a higher power is also very important. So that maybe, you know, maybe you have the gift of healing others and that sort of a thing, and giving that selfless love to others. Anyways, I feel like I'm rambling on. Scorpio, yours is the longest reading. I'm a Scorpio rising, and I feel like a lot of these messages you're getting fit for where I am in my life right now. So let's get a final message from the angels here. That's a lot of cards. Oh well, right? Honor and trust your feelings, beloved one. If you have a person on your mind bringing love in, this person is trustworthy, but the energy I'm getting with that is you need to trust yourself first before you're going to allow yourself love into your life. Clear audience. So maybe you're hearing people around you sending you loving messages. Allow it, like take that love in. I think it's sometimes awkward for me. It's always been an awkward thing to accept compliments and that sort of a thing. But recently on YouTube, I'll play, you know, when I'm getting into a negative mindset, which happens I would say pretty much monthly for me. One thing I've committed to in my healing journey is I know and accept that I may have anxiety, depression, I don't know if it's insecurity from ADHD and or childhood, whatever it is. I know that my brain goes negative. And when that happens, I have to make a conscious effort to really control what I'm taking in from the outside world. So that means, I mean, a long time ago, like 12 years ago, we stopped purchasing like traditional TV. We don't have cable, anything like that. I don't watch negative shows. I'll watch things that are really upbeat and happy. I don't watch the news. I don't take in any news. And people don't understand that. And it's like they almost get offended when I say that, or they suddenly get defensive where they have to be like, oh, well, that's kind of, it's almost like they're saying like, that's arrogant of me to not stay informed about what's happening in the world. But it's actually a mode of self-protection because I know that my brain really can't handle too much negative outside forces. And so maybe other people can. I know I can't, and I have recognized that in the last 12 plus years, I haven't been watching the news or taking in a lot of negative, messaging from the media and stuff, that it doesn't matter to my life. Like, yes, I feel for people experiencing war and all of that, but if I had to hear about it all the time, I would really be like depressed and crying even more than I do, right? So I'm not sure why I'm talking about that either, but you got to do what's right for you. And if you find that like negative outside messaging is affecting your mental health, you don't have to subscribe to anything that's negative. In fact, that's why I consciously choose, like, you can go on YouTube and listen to, you can listen to affirmations, you can listen to empowering stories of other people dealing with anxiety, depression, etc., and behavioral therapy supports. And, you can choose what's happening in the world around you. You can choose what's happening inside yourself. And it's not perfect and it's not easy, but you do have a choice. And your life will start changing, because my life has changed dramatically. Anyways, I don't know what's going on here. I feel like I'm actually talking to someone specifically that needed to hear that message. And I just want you to know that you can do this. Okay, Scorpio? Love you tons. Check out my meditation videos and information on the chakras. Let me know what you're going through down below. I would love to get to know you guys.